The announcement has stirred deep emotions among citizens who for years have lived under the shadow of insecurity, especially in communities repeatedly affected by bandit attacks, kidnappings, and violent raids. For many families who have lost loved ones, the news feels like a moment of hope mixed with uncertainty, as they wonder whether decisive action could finally bring relief from fear that has shaped daily life. Residents in affected regions describe nights filled with anxiety, where the sound of motorcycles or distant gunfire instantly awakens memories of past attacks and forces families to remain constantly alert. The idea of an international figure issuing a strong directive has intensified public conversation about whether global cooperation may help accelerate efforts against armed groups operating within Nigeria's borders. Security analysts explain that any external involvement in counterterrorism matters requires careful diplomatic coordination because national sovereignty and operational command structures must be respected. Yet emotionally, many citizens view the reported ultimatum as symbolic recognition of the suffering endured by communities that have long pleaded for stronger intervention. Mothers who have waited months for kidnapped relatives to return home speak of cautious optimism, hoping that increased pressure on criminal networks could disrupt operations responsible for widespread pain. Farmers forced to abandon fields due to fear of attacks express longing for a future where they can work without armed escorts or constant threat. Youth leaders in northern communities describe how insecurity has reshaped education, employment, and social stability, leaving an entire generation yearning for peace. The reported 24-hour timeline has also raised questions among experts who emphasize that security operations require planning, intelligence, coordination, and logistical preparation, rather than instant outcomes. They caution that while strong messages may boost morale, lasting solutions depend on sustained strategies rather than symbolic deadlines. Government officials within Nigeria have yet to confirm operational details, but have reiterated commitment to ongoing efforts aimed at dismantling bandit networks and restoring stability. The emotional response across the country reflects accumulated frustration built over years of repeated violence, displacement, and uncertainty. Religious leaders have called for prayers, urging citizens to remain calm and hopeful while emphasizing that peace ultimately requires justice, compassion, and unity. Community elders remind younger generations that security challenges are complex and that cooperation between citizens and authorities remains essential. Security experts highlight that Bello TURJI has long been associated with armed activities that have caused suffering across rural communities, making any reported move against him a matter of significant public interest. Families affected by violence recount stories of sudden attacks, disrupted weddings, abandoned schools, and markets emptied by fear. These personal testimonies reveal the human cost behind headlines, transforming abstract security discussions into deeply emotional realities. Analysts note that international attention on local security issues can sometimes accelerate cooperation through intelligence sharing and strategic dialogue. However, they also stress that operational success depends primarily on domestic capabilities and sustained local engagement. The emotional dimension of the story lies not only in the ultimatum itself, but in what it represents: hope for justice, closure for victims, and the possibility of safer communities. Citizens interviewed across different states express mixed feelings, some celebrating the development, while others remain skeptical, after years of promises that did not immediately change conditions on the ground. Psychologists explain that prolonged exposure to insecurity creates collective trauma, making communities respond strongly to any news suggesting potential resolution. Support groups for victims emphasize that beyond arrests, communities need rehabilitation, reconstruction, and psychological healing. Security agencies continue urging citizens to report suspicious activities, noting that community intelligence remains one of the most effective tools in preventing attacks. Economic observers point out that improved security would significantly boost agriculture trade and investment, particularly in regions rich with economic potential but constrained by fear. Local markets, once vibrant with activity, have struggled as traders avoid long-distance travel due to safety concerns. Parents speak emotionally about children growing up familiar with fear rather than freedom, hoping that decisive actions could change that reality. The reported directive has also triggered discussions about international responsibility and shared global interest in combating violent extremism. Diplomatic analysts explain that collaboration between nations often involves intelligence exchange, training programs, and coordinated policy frameworks rather than unilateral action. Citizens are encouraged to remain patient, recognizing that complex security operations cannot be measured solely by immediate announcements. Nonetheless, the emotional impact of hearing that powerful voices are addressing long-standing insecurity resonates deeply among affected populations. Community volunteers continue supporting displaced families, providing food, shelter, and encouragement as they rebuild disrupted lives. Faith-based organizations emphasize forgiveness, healing, and resilience, reminding Nigerians that unity strengthens recovery during difficult periods. The story also highlights the courage of security personnel who risk their lives daily confronting armed groups in challenging terrains. Families of soldiers and officers share emotional pride mixed with anxiety, knowing their loved ones operate in dangerous conditions to protect communities. National conversations now focus on whether renewed urgency could lead to coordinated breakthroughs against criminal networks. Experts recommend sustained investment in surveillance technology, border security, and economic opportunities for vulnerable youths as part of comprehensive solutions. Citizens hope that strong messages translate into meaningful results, including safer roads, reopened schools, and restored confidence in rural life. As discussions continue, Nigerians are reminded to rely on verified information and avoid spreading rumors that could heighten tension. Responsible dialogue ensures that hope remains constructive rather than divisive. The emotional weight of this moment reflects collective longing for peace, dignity, and stability across all regions of the country. Survivors of past attacks say true victory will be measured not by announcements, but by quiet nights without fear and communities able to celebrate life again. While uncertainty remains, the conversation itself signals renewed attention to challenges that have demanded urgent solutions for years. We will continue monitoring developments closely, bringing verified updates and balanced reporting as events unfold. For now, Nigerians watch with anticipation, hope, and prayer that decisive action, wherever it originates, contributes to lasting peace and security for every community. Stay informed, remain united, and continue supporting peaceful efforts aimed at building a safer future for the nation. From politics and security to business, social issues and global affairs, we are committed to delivering news with clarity, responsibility, and professionalism. In a time when misinformation spreads quickly, we stand for verified facts, thoughtful discussion, and respectful dialogue. Stay with us as we break down today's top stories and provide the insights you need to stay informed and empowered. This is your news. This is your voice. This is where information meets integrity. Thank you for watching.